Dinner photos are giving weird energy. Blake and John in every shot. Where's Emily? Are we still filming Tether or trauma? Got weird on Emily Blake film set. Improvised freakouts, chain girl, you erased the script. Not Blake acting like the victim in her own mess. Emily's silence is louder than this caption.
Once close allies, two powerful women now find themselves entangled in a bitter war of pride, power, and betrayal. Blake Lively's calculated attempts to sabotage Emily Blunt's marriage and derail her career triggered a series of events that spiraled far beyond either woman's control. But Blake's treachery ran deeper than anyone imagined, and Emily's quiet, deliberate revenge would leave a mark that altered both of their careers forever.
And that's where we start, with Blake Lively and Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt has always stayed off the gossip radar. Married to John Krasinski, 2 daughters, critically acclaimed roles, a career that bloomed quietly while others shouted. She wasn't trying to be America's sweetheart.
Emily Blunt and Blake Lively appeared to have found something rare in Hollywood, a true unshakable friendship. Blunt, known for her quiet strength and grounded elegance, had built a career on raw talent and resilience, far from the glare of paparazzi and tabloid spectacle. Lively, by contrast, was the industry's golden girl, radiant from her Gossip Girl fame, a staple of red carpet glamour, and a constant fixture in the headlines thanks to her picture-perfect life.
Was, in the real sense, grounded, respected, unproblematic, which is probably why Blake Lively wanted in. Because in 2022, when Blake and Emily appeared at the same private dinner hosted by Chanel in Paris, multiple witnesses remember one thing. Blake wouldn't stop talking to John. At first, it was friendly, industry chatter, shared stories about directing. But then, the photos surfaced. Blake laughing too hard, John smiling too long, and then Emily, not in a single frame. Those Chanel dinner photos are giving weird energy. Blake and John in every shot. Where's Emily? It should have ended there, but it didn't. Because 1 month later, John Krasinski's assistant received a floral arrangement. From Blake, no note, just the same white orchids she'd posted on Instagram 2 days earlier, captioned, "For the men who get it." Emily never responded publicly, but within 3 weeks, she removed all tagged photos with Blake from her Instagram page.
To the outside world, their bond looked unbreakable. Two beautiful, talented women standing by each other in an industry infamous for destroying friendships. But behind the smiles and polished public appearances, something darker was festering beneath the surface.
Stop talking to John. At first, it was friendly, industry chatter, shared stories about directing. But then, the photos surfaced. Blake laughing too hard, John smiling too long, and then Emily, not in a single frame.
At first, Blake's admiration for Emily felt sincere, almost sisterly, a rare warmth in a world where envy was as common as Botox. Emily embraced her completely, inviting her into private gatherings, trusted inner circles, and even the sacred space of her marriage to John Krasinski, Hollywood's favorite leading man.
Who get it? Emily never responded publicly, but within 3 weeks, she removed all tagged photos with Blake from her Instagram page. Wait, did Emily just remove all the old pics of her and Blake? Something went down. And still, Blake kept smiling. But what Emily did next caught everyone off guard. She didn't unfollow. She didn't subtweet. She invited Blake into her next project. And that is when the real story begins. No one expected Emily to involve Blake after that. Not after the orchids, not after the erasure, but in early 2023, a surprising announcement was quietly slipped into Deadline.
But behind the scenes, whispers began to circulate. What started as admiration slowly curdled into envy. Blake wasn't just inspired by Emily's success, she hungered for it. While Blake's fame thrived on paparazzi flashbulbs and tabloid frenzy, Emily's acclaim came with Oscar buzz, critical respect, and a seemingly unshakable marriage. The more Blake watched, the more she wanted it for herself, and that's when the boundaries began to blur.
Bringing up how she and John had such similar humor, It got awkward, fast.
According to those close to the couple, Blake's behavior began to shift. Casual texts to John became a little too frequent. Their playful on-set banter lingered just a bit too long. What started as friendly movie nights slowly morphed into late-night creative sessions that to Emily no longer felt entirely innocent.
New Emily-Blake movie feel random. No promo, no vibe match, and Blake's not known for thrillers.
At first, Emily tried to dismiss it. After all, in Hollywood, friendliness was part of the job. But the uneasy feeling gnawed at her. The flirtatious laughs, the private jokes between Blake and John, the way Blake's hand lingered just a moment, too long on his arm, it wasn't in her head. It was real, and it was beginning to wound in ways she didn't want to acknowledge. This wasn't just a breach of professional boundaries, it was personal. It was sacred ground.
The draft was a two-hander between Emily and an unknown British newcomer. Blake Lively's name didn't appear until the studio got involved.
The true heartbreak hit when the whispers exploded into undeniable rumors, claims that Blake wasn't just seeking creative collaboration with John, but something far more intimate, that she had used their friendship as a means to infiltrate Emily's most protected space, her marriage. The betrayal was crushing. For Emily, it wasn't just about John. It was about trust, about the sisterhood she believed they shared, about the rare bond she thought she'd found in a town built on backstabbing. To be so thoroughly deceived by someone she had welcomed into her heart was a level of devastation no tabloid could ever fully capture.
Emily just remove all the old pics of her and Blake? Something went down.
Those close to Emily say she was shattered, blindsided by a truth she never imagined she'd have to face. Her legendary poise, once unshakable in the face of Hollywood's harshest critics, crumbled under the weight of betrayal. The woman known for her grace and quiet strength was forced to confront the cruelest reality of life in the City of Angels. Even your closest friends might be hiding behind masks.
And Blake Lively, set to co-star in a new psychological drama, Tether.
For Emily Blunt, Tether was more than just another film. It was the culmination of years of passion, patience, and persistence. A tightly woven psychological thriller focused on two characters, Tether was meant to be a bold artistic statement, showcasing Blunt's acting talent while giving her a larger creative role behind the scenes. She imagined the project as minimalistic, atmospheric, and deeply authentic, capturing the raw emotional core of the story. To preserve that intimacy, Blunt had planned to cast an unknown British actress opposite her, someone fresh who wouldn't distract from the harrowing emotional journey at the film's heart. But in Hollywood, even the most carefully crafted visions often bend to the system's demands. When a major studio finally showed serious interest in financing Tether, it came with a non-negotiable condition. To boost commercial appeal and secure global distribution, a recognizable name had to be attached as Blunt's co-lead. That choice was Blake Lively, a decision that blindsided Emily. Though both women were accomplished, their public images and career paths couldn't have been more different. Blunt, celebrated for her understated elegance and depth, had built a reputation rooted in versatility and critical acclaim. Lively, meanwhile, was synonymous with glossy, high-profile roles and a relentless tabloid spotlight that followed her from red carpets to meticulously curated social media. Privately, Emily harbored serious doubts. Their past interactions were already tinged with personal tension, and she feared Blake's celebrity persona would clash with the raw authenticity Tether demanded. Yet, faced with the risk of losing the project entirely, Emily reluctantly agreed, hoping professionalism would carry them through. Unfortunately, it did not.
Blake laughing too hard, John smiling too long.
From day one on set, it was clear that the creative tension between Blunt and Lively couldn't be overlooked. While public interviews painted a picture of smooth collaboration, insiders told a very different story. According to production sources, Lively's influence quickly expanded. She forged close ties with key crew members, pushed for script changes that favored her role, and campaigned for a more stylized, glamorous tone that clashed with Blunt's original vision of a grounded, haunting thriller.
Turned the script into her own therapy session.
What was intended as an intimate, closed set gradually became crowded and theatrical. Lively's entourage, including stylists, personal assistants, and even a behind-the-scenes videographer, turned the atmosphere into something more like a commercial photo shoot than the focused, intense environment needed for a psychological drama.
Things got weird on Emily Blake film set. Improvised freakouts, changed scenes, tension in the air. That Tether title might be more literal than we thought.
Creative differences soon turned into mounting professional frustrations. A key scene, meant to be the emotional heart of the film, came to symbolize their growing divide. Blunt delivered a precise, measured performance, only for Lively to improvise. An unscripted line during filming, shifting the tone and undercutting the scene's intended emotional weight. Despite Blunt's objections, the director chose to keep Lively's version in post-production, favoring its marketability. For Emily, it was heartbreaking. The project she had nurtured for years was slipping further from her original vision. When Tether premiered, the reception was lukewarm. While some critics acknowledged its ambition and moments of real tension, many pointed out its uneven tone and lack of cohesion, often highlighting the clashing dynamic between the two leads as a major flaw.
Next was subtle, but it rewrote the entire power dynamic, because Blake didn't realize Emily had already left the scene with the footage.
Throughout the press tour, Blunt remained professional, offering diplomatic praise for the cast and crew. But those close to her say the experience left her deeply disillusioned, both with the industry's compromises and with people she once trusted. Privately, Emily vowed to be far more selective in the future, determined never to sacrifice her creative integrity for commercial convenience again. Meanwhile, Lively swiftly moved on to her next project, seemingly unfazed by the tensions that had simmered beneath Tether's surface.
Stories belong to those who survive them. Just saw the teaser for Tether? Wild how they framed it as an Emily Blunt solo vehicle. Wasn't this a two-hander with Blake Lively?
From the very first day of filming, it was clear the atmosphere on the Tether set would be anything but smooth. Blake Lively, once the eager co-star Emily Blunt had cautiously welcomed, soon revealed a very different side of herself. Gone was the polite, deferential actress who had attended table reads and rehearsals with wide-eyed enthusiasm. Instead, a woman determined to make Tether her stage, and perhaps her next big reinvention, emerged. Blake began asserting herself in ways that blindsided everyone, especially Emily. Scripts painstakingly crafted over years, scripts that carried Emily's heart and soul, were suddenly questioned, challenged, and often rewritten on the spot by Lively. Emotional climaxes carefully built across multiple scenes were thrown off balance when Blake improvised, steering critical moments into unexpected and often unwelcome directions.